And we are live, guys. Welcome to Women of High Value channel. This is Joseph Darling, straight out of Oslo, Norway. And what we're going to talk about today is this wonderful thing of less discipline. Now, the whole world is telling you to be more disciplined. They're saying to you that you should take every opportunity out there to move forward in your career. You should say yes, and you should compete, and you should become a leader, and you should educate yourself with as much academic education as possible, and you should do this and that and this and that and this. Oh my gosh, isn't that a bit tiring sometimes for you guys? Like, what for? What is the main reason that we are even here on planet Earth? Why do you exist? You exist in order to be happy. True joy and happiness is the entire purpose why we're here, why we're on this planet at all, why we're doing what we do. And there's a fantastic book written by Stephen R. Covey talking about how when you climb the ladder, make sure that the ladder is placed on the right wall. You want to climb the wall that will give you joy and happiness. Not all the other crap that most women go through. Unconventional results require unconventional methods. Which means that you have to do something differently. You have to do something different from the crowd. You have to be unique compared to what every other woman is doing. And what I'm going to share with you today, I'm going to explain very simply the things that you should not be focused on, not be disciplined about, and we're going to replace them with things that actually will matter to your long-term happiness and joy. You ready for this? So let's get started with a quote from Warren Buffett. I mentioned him again. He says the main difference between successful people and really successful people is that the really successful people say almost no to everything. No. You want to practice enjoying your life? Learn how to say no to things that will distract you from your main obsession, that will distract you from your main interest in life, that will distract you from your goal, your long-term goal. What are some of these examples? I would say no to all forms of leadership positions. Anything that requires you to do things that you don't want to do, say no to it. Because being a leader means that you have to be rejected by the people that follow you. It means that you have to, initiate change. And as you know, people resist change. And they don't want to change, which means that you will be rejected by the people you want to follow you. Does that make sense? So you make it easier on yourself when you just simply say, no, I don't want more responsibility. I have a personal responsibility for my future self, my long-term future self, not my right now future self. I'm not saying, oh, it's all about the now and let's forget about the future. You have a responsibility for your future self, your long-term self. And because of that, you don't want anything to do with leadership positions. You don't want anything to do with having to be rejected by people who should be following you, but they don't. Just simply say no. Another one is all forms of nonsense education. I'm talking about academic education here that you don't need, that is not required by the government. Who cares about your grades? No one cares about your grades. As long as you're disciplined in the few things that I'm going to talk about at the end of this video. You should not care about your grades. I know, unconventional methods in order to achieve unconventional results. The richest people in the world are people who got lousy grades or dropped out of school. You don't need it. The only thing you need, I'm going to get into that at the end of the video. So, but if the government requires it in order for you to progress and actually finish high school, which is in some ways almost a requirement, it's not actually, but then you have to study that stuff and understand it enough at least to pass. If you pass, that's fantastic. Make sure you can perfectly read and write and all that stuff though, and educate yourself on those things that does interest you. If it does interest you, then voraciously educate yourself on the subject, because that depth of knowledge that you get on that specific subject will serve you massively throughout your life. But the generalized knowledge, academic education nonsense that's out there, who cares? You want to focus on what you're interested in and what your future family will be interested in or what will help them. Say no to all boys that ask you out or that are interested in you or that want to talk to you or that want to call you. Say no to every single boy who wants to get your phone number, who wants to text you on Snapchat or Instagram or whatever. Say no. You don't want to have anything to do with guys that you're not going to have anything to do with in the long term. None of the guys that you meet should really have access to you at this point in your life, unless you're actually actively looking to get married and you're looking for the right guy. But even then, you should say no. But if he's cute and you want him in your life, then send him to your dad. That's the best way of doing it. If you don't have a dad, then get yourself some form of a male mentor who's not sexually interested in you at all, but who wants to help you to find the right guy. You say no, and then, but you say, you know what, if you're truly interested, go talk to my dad. I don't do anything without his permission or without him accepting first that you are potentially the right guy. Now, it's important that you have talked to your dad beforehand and said, and prepared him for this, and also told him how important it is for you to be less disciplined because you want to be more feminine, you want to be less masculine, and you want to basically focus on you so that you can have your long-term focus and obsession in place. Okay, so that's in the conversation you have with your dad as well. Say no to all forms of stimulants. Any forms of stimulants. This includes and is not limited to alcohol, smoking drugs, other forms of drugs, popping pills, happy pills. It includes anything that messes up your emotions or hormones at all. If you've already said no to guys, you also don't need birth control. There's a lot of birth controls out there that mess up your hormones. But at the same time, if you're going to be sexually active, then I absolutely recommend almost several birth control. But anyway, talk to your doctor about that. But the point is, if you can avoid anything that's not natural, that's not supposed to be inside your body will be so blessed because of it. Another one, just saying no to anything that doesn't help your long-term goal. Now, what is your long-term goal? What am I talking about here? First of all, we're talking about becoming less disciplined, because the more disciplined you are, the more masculine you are, the less happy you're going to be in your life. Which means that you have to say no to so many things as possible in order for your femininity to allow to blossom in you, or to allow to remain in you. Because most girls are actually feminine until a certain point, when they get too burdened with expectations from everyone else around you, and they expect you to do this, and they expect you to be disciplined, they expect you to take responsibility, and they expect you to do all that stuff, making you more masculine, and therefore making you more disciplined and less happy. We're trying to make you happy in the short term and make you happy in the long term. So I recommend that you instead focus on 3 simple categories of life to keep you happy right now. Because the long-term view is a happy family with a husband of your choosing, together with collaboration with your dad. A husband that will take care of you, take care of the finances, take 100% responsibility for anything that goes wrong, and who just loves you and wants to give you the world. That's what you want. And then, because he's masculine and you're feminine, the probability that you will have amazing children, and beautiful children, I might add, increases dramatically. So what are the 3 categories? The 3 categories are relationships, your health and fitness, and stretching the dollar. In terms of relationships, this is what life is about. It's about doing worthwhile recreational activities and having fun with people that you love. That's what life is about. And those relationships require time and focus, and sometimes, obsessive focus, in order to solve problems or help or be understanding or simply be there and listen to them. And you have to specifically choose who you want to have in your inner circle, and your life for the short term might be to just simply enjoy time with them and make their lives enjoyable. Relationships is what happiness is about. You can't be happy without people. So you're going to say no to people that drag you down or that require you to be disciplined, and say yes to people that you can relax around and be yourself. That's what you want. The second one is your health and fitness. If you're not alive, or if you don't have energy, then your health and fitness requires an obsessive focus. I'm not saying doing more than what is necessary, because sometimes health and fitness for women that are very masculine can require discipline that's way beyond what is necessary, and it actually makes you more masculine. So you have to balance that one. And a way to do that is by simply doing it with other people. If you have a group class at the gym, for example, or if you simply have a 10-minute habit that you can do with a friend, that's the kind of health and fitness that you need in your life. If it's taking a bike trip with a friend, or with 2 friends, or if it's going to the gym with a couple of friends, or if it's doing this, whatever it takes for your health and fitness to be optimal, for you to have energy, that's something that is worth focusing and obsessing on, which you will actually have time to do, by the way, simply because you've said no to all of the other time wasters that I've mentioned in the beginning. And the third one, which is stretching the dollar. You're preparing for your long-term self. If you focus on relationships that matter and that will be there in the long term, the most important relationships is the ones that last the longest. Your health and fitness is very important to your future self and your future family. So you're going to take care of that. And learning how to stretch the dollar. being a minimalist will give you so much tremendous joy in your life, as long as you don't force your husband or have him believe the same thing that you do. You want to be a girl that stretches the dollar. You don't want a guy that stretches the dollar. That basically means that you're dating a girl. You want a guy that is thinking about making millions of dollars. Now that is a team where the woman stretches the dollar and gets fired up outside her brain if she gets $100 more in allowance from her husband. She gets fired up outside her brain because of all the things that she could do. The more money you spend in your youth and not controlling that behavior, the less happy you are about growth. Or the more short-lived you are happy about any form of growth or progression your husband is making. But if you're a minimalist and you're stretching the dollar, anything, any growth that he has will fire you up outside your brain. You'll be so excited. Not necessarily because you have more to spend, but simply because he's making a difference in the world. And you are a part of that ride. This is the power of being less disciplined with the things that don't matter to you in the long term. There's only a few things that do. And if you're less disciplined in the other stuff, you have massive amounts of discipline left over for the things that do matter. And you'll obsess about them, you'll focus on them, you'll have an amazing life because of it. This is the Women of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I'll see you again tomorrow.